Good day everyone, I am Novie Gail from BTEL ED 2B and I am going to discuss the various cognitive development theories of Jean Piaget, Lev Vygotsky, Jerome Bruner, Howard Gardner, and Robert J. Sternberg. So starting with Jean Piaget. Jean Piaget's theory of cognitive development suggests that intelligence changes as children grow. A child cognitive growth entails more than just collecting information. The youngster must also create or develop a mental picture of the world. Children go through a variety of phases as their cognitive development is influenced by their intrinsic abilities and contextual experiences. Piaget's theory of cognitive development proposes 4 stages of development. The first one is sensory motor stage, birth to 2 years, which is object permanence. It is the period when infants think by means of their senses and motor actions. The second one is pre-operational stage, 2 to 7 years, which is symbolic thought. It is when children use their new ability to represent objects in a wide variety of activities, but they do not yet do it in ways that are organized or fully logical. And the last stage is formal operational stage, ages 12 and up, which is scientific reasoning. The child became able to reason not only about tangible objects and events, but also about hypothetical or abstract ones. At each stages of development, the child's thinking is qualitatively different from the other stages. That is, each stage involves a different type of intelligence. Although no stage can be skipped, there are variances in how quickly children move through the phases, and some children may never teach the latter stages. Next, we will talk about the cognitive development theory of Lev Vygotsky. Vygotsky consequently focuses much more closely on social interaction as an aid to learning, arguing that left alone, children will develop but not to their full potential. He also suggested that language is the most important tool for gaining knowledge. He defined intelligence as the capacity to learn from instruction, which emphasizes the fact there is a requirement for a more knowledge other person or teacher. Refers to the gap between actual and potential learning as a zone of proximal development or ZPD, and argues that it's only through collaboration with adults and other learners that this gap can be bridged. He referred to them as just that, the more knowledgeable other, or MKO. MKOs can be parents, adults, teachers, coaches, experts, or professionals, but also things you might not first expect, such as children, friends, and computers. Another important feature of this theory is scaffolding. When an adult provides support for a child, they will adjust the amount of help they give depending on their progress. Vygotsky perceived the child as a social being who is able to appropriate new patterns of thinking when learning alongside more advanced and competent individuals, include parents, teachers, older siblings, and peers. Let's proceed to the theory of Jerome Bruner, a cognitive psychologist. He developed a theory of development based on the premise that intellectual development should be the primary purpose of education. He identified 3 stages of cognitive representation. First is enactive, which is the representations of knowledge through actions. Second is iconic, which is the visual summarization of images. And third is symbolic representation, which is the use of words and other symbols to describe experiences. Let's move on to the theory of Howard Gardner. He is a developmental psychologist who is well known for his many intelligences theory. He argued that the traditional definition of intelligence was excessively limited and limiting, and that IQ tests frequently overlook other intelligences that a person may possess. Gardner proposed a list of 8 different types of intelligence to account for a much broader range of human potentials which occurs in children and adults. The first one is interpersonal intelligence. The second one is intrapersonal intelligence. The third one is kinesthetic intelligence. The fourth one is linguistic intelligence. And the fifth one is mathematical intelligence. 6 is musical intelligence. 7 is naturalistic intelligence. And last is visual spatial intelligence. Gardner's theory of multiple intelligences also helps to explain why people are more suited to certain careers and quite unsuited to others. Sternberg's definition of human intelligence is a mental activity directed towards purposive adaptation to selection and shaping of real-world environments relevant to one's life, which means that intelligence is how well an individual deals with environmental changes throughout their lifespan. Robert Sternberg made his name by proposing triarchic theory of intelligence comprises 3 parts, which is the competential, experiential, and practical. So the first is competential or analytical subtheory. Analytical giftedness is influential in being able to take apart problems and being able to see solutions in often seen. The second one is experiential creative subtheory. This stage deals mainly with how well a task is performed with regard to how familiar it is. Sternberg splits the role of experience into 2 parts, novelty and automation. And last is practical contextual subtheory. Sternberg's third subtheory of intelligence, called practical or contextual, deals with the mental activity involved in attaining fit to context. According to Robert Sternberg's theory, there are 3 basic mental processes that underline all intelligent behavior. The 3 basic mental processes are metacomponents, that are the executive processes that we use to solve problems, plan what to do, make decisions, and evaluate outcomes. And the second one is performance components that carry out the directions of the meta components. It is performance components that allow us to store information in a short-term memory, compare to 2 concepts, compare solutions to the task, etc. And last is knowledge acquisition components that are what we use to learn and store new information. In other words, meta components tell us what to do, performance components actually do it, and knowledge acquisition components make sure we learn things along the way. Although what is viewed as intelligent in one culture might not be viewed as intelligent in another, the basic mental processes are the same across different cultures. Sternberg talks on what he refers to a successful intellect. Intelligent people are able to establish and accomplish their own definition of success within their society. Successfully clever people are adept in adapting to and adjusting their surroundings to meet their demands because intelligence is largely influenced by the society in which you live. An individual who is deemed intelligent in one culture may not be taught such in one another. So that would be all. Thank you.